All right, a 2009 Volkswagen Passat. We have the O2E, which is the dual clutch transmission. And what's going on with this is the customer had called me up and he said that sometimes when he puts it in reverse it doesn't move or it takes a while, and I think it only happened in reverse on him. May happen in drive, but I know he kept mentioning I put in reverse, it's not moving. Like on initial engagement into reverse. And we scanned the car. I got it over here, we scanned the car. It had code P2711, unexpected mechanical disengagement, I think the code was. I wanted to give you a shot at the scan tool, but he actually cleared the code and it hasn't come back since. So what's probably going on with this thing is inside here is the dual clutches, and the clutches tend to come apart, or maybe they'll flake off. We're gonna actually see what they look like when we get it apart. And the way it's designed, I guess the debris may stay in there, causing the clutches to drag and causing these problems to happen. Is actually a TSB on this particular code as well. So I have a new setup here from Volkswagen, and we're gonna take a look at that. I have some special tools that are gonna be needed. I wanna show you those. And then what we'll do is take the front of this apart. We'll take the dual clutch assembly out, we'll open it up. And the filter also, while it's out, I'm gonna be installing a new, there is an internal filter, but I'm not taking the unit apart. I'm just going to be putting the new spin-on filter in, a cartridge. I'm going to take that off and I'll show you that as well. So this is my second dual clutch transmission that I'm working on. The first one, I did a Megatronic unit in, and we were actually able to do this in the car. I remember what was going on with that is when it was cold, I don't remember the codes, but it was like a typical problem with a bad valve body. When it was cold, the thing worked great. As soon as it heated up, the car was doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So the first thing I did when I replaced the Megatronic unit was I tried to, through my scan tool, my laptop, I have Rostec, and I tried to, relearn the clutch adaptation, relearn the pressures, relearn engagements, but that really didn't do anything, so we went ahead and replaced the Megatronic unit. I was able to code it. Rostec has a whole thing on the web with instructions on how to do that stuff, so I was able to code it myself, and it worked out good. I did that actually for a dealership. Somebody traded the car in as a used car department. All right, so let me get a little closer here, and we'll open up the box here and see what we got. And I want to show you the tools I'm going to be using to do this as well. All right, so let me get a little closer and we'll start with that. All right, so the first tool I got here is the holding fixture for the dial caliper. And this, I'm going to clamp this thing right on the case. Clamp it right on the case, and because you have to take a few measurements, before you got to take the cover off, and then you got to take measurements because they give you, you'll see selective shims, a bag of selective snap rings, which are shims in the new clutch kit. And I just clamp this onto the case, attach it, and here is a 1-dial caliper, and I've got another one which is digital. Which is digital here, so it'll, as I lift up on the dual clutch assembly, it'll read. You got to take 2 readings. Subtract a certain amount, and I'm sorry, you got to take 2 readings, subtract them, and then add a certain amount to get the shim, the correct shim or snap ring that you need. And here is the tool. I got this from from Bound Tools. I think this tool was number was T10303. This actually is a Volkswagen tool, and use this to keep the dual clutch assembly up while you take your measurements. So those are the tools that I actually bought to do this job. And of course, to measure the correct shim, you know, you need your caliper as well. All right, so those are the tools. All right, now let's take a look at what they give you in the box here. All right. And this is going to be a new cover. And with the cover, you get a tool to install the cover, because you don't want to certainly tear this after this thing is in the car and it's filled. Give you a new snap ring for the outside, you know, for this cover. These are the bag of shims or snap rings. Now you'll have to do the equation to get the correct one. But once the new assembly is on, you know, basically you'll drop it in, get it into the splines, pull the cover off. Then they want you to put a 2mm shim on it to take the measurements. But we're going to be doing all that. I'm actually not going to take this one apart because it's all together, and this is just going to get dropped right in. But take the other one apart. So you got your rings here, and this is the dual clutch assembly. This cover is going to have to come off. The clutches, the K1 and K2, are behind here, and this cover pretty much can only go on one way, so there is a mark. There's a white mark here on the cover and a white mark here to show how to line it up. And there is also a tab that sticks up that the snap ring goes in between, you know, the opening goes in between. Alright, so let me get this stuff out of the way. I'll pull the strands back up here. And we'll pull the cover off, pull the dual clutch assembly off, and we'll open it up and take a look at that. These things are pretty cool. You know, it has like 2 input shafts, an inner and an outer. You know, one's hollow, it slides over it. And when you're in first gear, the K1 clutch, which I'll show you, works the odd gears, 1, 3, and 5, and the K2 clutch works the even gears at 2, 4, 6, and I also believe reverse. So when you're in first gear, second gear is already pre-selected because the computer kind of goes by your input. So the power would leave, you know, the K1 clutch and then go to the K2 clutch. Now you're in second. You know, they. I was watching, actually doing some research on this, and it's pretty cool. You know, the way they do it when you're driving your conventional standard shift, and you step on the clutch to shift gears. You're actually, they say you're disrupting the power flow, which you are because it's becoming disengaged. You know, to get into the next gear, then you go back on the gas again. So they say you disrupt the power flow, but when on these dual clutches, it's basically a standard transmission that shifts automatically, and the power flow is not interrupted at all. So I thought that was pretty cool. And sometimes you may get a delay on these transmissions. Like for instance, when you get in this car and the computer thinks that you're gonna put it in drive and go, and it's already in first gear. So if you select reverse, it has to disengage first gear, engage reverse. So, slight delays are normal. When you're, coming down to a stop and it's downshifting, all of a sudden the light turns green and you go. Maybe it's going from third to second, so now it's already, getting ready to go into second, but if light turns green, you hit the gas. Now it's got to disengage that, re-engage fourth, and so it kind of goes by your input of what you're doing. So that's pretty cool. So let me just get it set up for this. I want to get this box of parts out of here, and we'll take the dual clutch assembly out, open it up, and look at it. I'm curious to see myself how these frictions are. All right, so just give me a few minutes on that, and I will be right back. All right, so let's see if we can get this big snap ring out here that holds the cover on. I'm going to try to bring it down and get behind it with the small screwdriver. Got it. Cover off. Seem to have done a couple of different ways. I'm going to be changing this cover anyway. There's the cover. This cover here for the dual clutch. Okay, now I'm going to take the snap ring off. And again, you got your couple of marks right here, the way this goes on. So let's take that snap ring off. Here's the cover. That's the pump shaft. Alright, and now we have to take this clip out. And it's a pretty heavy clip from what I understand. And then the whole assembly will slide right out. So let's try this pair first. That was easy enough. Here's a little clip here. Here is the dual clutch assembly. Okay, let me just reposition and get on the dual clutch assembly here. And also we're going to change the filter, the outside filter, I should say. Alright, so here, actually, let me show you this. Here are the two input shafts. One here, one here. Okay. Well, you know what, let me just move the camera down, and let me just re-angle this. I'm going to take this apart. here's the K1 clutch hub. Got a bearing here. And here is the K2 clutch hub. Alright, this fits over the hollow one there and there. Alright, now let's check these clutches out here. It could be a little worn. No burn marks on the steels or anything. This one's set. You want to kind of keep them how they come out. And here's the K2. These have burn marks on them, and these are directional. Yeah, these are kind of burned up. The steels have burn marks on them here. So when you do these, you got to make sure you put these correctly. You know, the way that they go. So the K2 is really not in that great a shape. Steels are definitely dark. They're probably worn out. And that is the K2 clutch. You got a couple of burn marks here. Now the new set that came, that I'm not even going to take apart. That just kind of drops right in, and then you got to do your measurements. You got to take the cover off and do your measurements. Let me just get this back together. Okay. All right, now let me just switch angles because we're going to take this spin-on filter off here. And I'll show you that. I actually have that coming. I thought it would be here, but it is not here yet. So just give me 1 second. Let me reposition the camera. Okay. It's much easier, of course, to change the filter on the bench than when it's in the car. Okay, so this is what this filter looks like here. This is the one I'm waiting for. There is an internal one, of course, but I'm not breaking this unit apart. So that's that filter. So leave this out. I just don't want anything to fall in here, so I'm just going to put this cover back on. Also, while I have this out, I got them here. These the cooler sits on top. So I'd like to change these two O-rings because these seem kind of flat. So I got those coming from the dealer. Also, and the dual clutch, you know, that box you saw is from Volkswagen. I was talking to my supplier because I maybe thought that he sold them, but I wouldn't go anything other than OE when replacing this dual clutch because I believe it is an updated setup. So, all right, so that's it for now. Next, I'm gonna get set up here, and I'm gonna have this thing standing up, and we're gonna drop in the dual clutch set. I gotta take the cover off. This cover has to come back off. I don't want to forget to, but I'm just gonna put this in here for now, but that's gotta come back out again. Then you gotta take this cover off, and so that tool is in there, so I guess when you take this off, it doesn't drop down maybe. And then we gotta take the clearance measurements. So again, this is my second time working on one of these dual clutches. The first time actually replacing the assembly here, and of course the mechatronic was the first one, which worked out well. And here is the fluid that gets used. I buy this from my supplier. It's made by a company called Loop Guard, and we have topped these units off. You know, when they were in here to be checked for other things. The fill/check on this one, let me see if I can pick this thing up here, is, where is it? Is right here. On this particular one, there is only one. This is the fill and the check, so you take this plug out. With the car running, there's a huge standpipe in here. So you fill it and check it through here. Earlier models, I believe, had two, but they eliminated that now. All right, so let me get set up, and we'll start going back together with this. All right, so we got the updated dual clutch assembly. All right, so we got to put our tool. I don't think it's really going to stay, so what I'm going to do is do both of these at once. I have kind of have a handle on this thing so I can lift it up. That should be in. All right, so now we're going to take this top cover off. And again, when we do that, there is the mark, and it can only go in one way. All right, so let me get my screwdriver here. We'll take that off. All right, so this is down all the way. So now what we have to do is out of this bag here, we got to find a 2mm shim or 2mm snap slash shim. All right, so it's this one here. So let's turn this on. We got millimeters. Okay, hope you can see that. That's 2. All right, so we're gonna put that on. And then I gotta get set up with my holder and dial indicator. Okay. And I like the opening. Okay, so we're going to take 2 measurements. All right, and the first measurement is going to be on this top shaft. And the second measurement is going to be here. So 1 here and 1 here. I'm hoping everybody can, you guys can see that okay. So let me just get set up and we'll start with that. All right, just give me a few minutes to get this thing hooked up. All right, so I'm set up for the first measurement. And what I got to do now is I got to get my hands in there and actually lift up on the pack and see what the dial indicator says. All right, so let's do that. All right, looks like it's 2. Okay, so let's record that. And let me just get set up for the next one. Okay, so ready for the second measurement. So let's lift up on the pack again. All right, looks like I got 39 or about 40. All right, looks like it's 39. Okay. All right, so let's do the math and see which one we have to put on. All right, so we got the first measurement of 0.39. I'm sorry, the first measurement is 02, second one was 39, you subtract the 2, you got 0.37, you add 1.85, and you come up with 2.22 millimeters, and that's the size shim that they want you to use. All right, so you go through the bag, which I did, and I have 2.21, so we're gonna go with this one. All right, so we're going to take this one back off. Okay. And we'll put this one on. I'm sorry if you can't see here. All right. Okay, so that's on. All right, now, all right, now we'll put our shaft in. Put the cover on. Got the white mark. Match it up with the other white mark. Okay, now we gotta kind of lift up on this thing here. And we gotta do this. Okay, and then you got to put the snap ring in. Let me just show you this. I might have showed you this before. There is a tab sticking up right here. So the snap ring has to go, the opening has to go in between that. And that is there. Okay. Get a little closer. There we go. Good. Okay. There we go. Okay. This just a little bit here. Okay. That's it. Got that out. Okay. A little bit of a pain getting that snap ring in. You gotta kind of push it around. But that's in. Okay, now the cover. All right, so I just want to clean the surfaces, and I want to use some STP. Here is the cover here, and then you got a snap ring that goes in. But let me get everything lubed up here, and again, I want to just take a right, get some oil around. I want to just clean it all out. All right, so give me a couple of minutes to do that, and I will be right back. Okay. All right, so we gotta push this down. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Very nice. Perfect. Okay, let's put the snap ring in. Let me just grab this thing here. Sorry if my hands are in the way here. Okay. All right, let's take this out. Yep, I want to make sure this thing is all the way in. Okay, that looks good. All right, so now I'm going to lay it back down on the side, and we're going to put the filter in. I've got those new O-rings as well, and that's it. We'll finish it up. All right, so let me just get this thing down on its side, laying flat. So give me 1 second, and I'll be right back. All right, so here is the filter from the dealer. My supplier actually did not have this. He had the internal filter, but he did not have this one. He actually had a part number for it, but didn't show anything. All right, so there is like a little O-ring. So I'm just putting a little grease on that, and that's going to slide down. Right, like that. There we go. Okay. Then you have another O-ring here. A lot of times when you do like other cartridge filters and you get the filter, the O-ring normally comes with it. This one is sold separately. Okay, let me find my socket here. Alrighty. And also the O-rings, which I'm just going to leave in the package and give to the installer. He'll put them in. Right there. So this is Volkswagen. Geez, I think it's a 2010. And we were getting code P2711 mechanical disengagement. And of course found the K2. You know, he was complaining of when it was cold, he had no reverse, initial engagement, no reverse, which is what the TSB says. And he was complaining of like hard engagements when it did go. I'm not really so sure delayed engagement, honestly, because it really didn't work that bad when he was here and I was checking it, but it did have the code present. He did have no reverse, and he was saying, you know, it shifts hard and comes down. So we put the updated dual clutch assembly here and the filter, and I got the fluid. So come when the guys get in, they'll start putting this back in. And then after that, I'm gonna get my Rostec on my laptop, and I'm gonna just kind of redo all the settings, all the pressure settings and stuff like that, and then drive it around and deliver the car. All right, guys, so I thank you for watching. Again, this is second time I'm working on dual clutch, but the first time actually replacing the dual clutch assembly. So again, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and we'll see you next one.